Welcome back. So this is going to be a practical session, and in this session we are going to create SSM documents. We'll also look into the deployment workflow I explained in the previous video, and we'll practicalize everything and we'll see how it works. So we will see how the whole SSM document and your application deployment and your Bitbucket pipeline, your CI/CD process integrates together. So this is a web a web blog. I created this website as part of my recruitment assessment to an organization. Eventually I was not picked, but I like to use this platform because it's fun, and because I also detailed my process in this particular project. The instruction was to create a blogging platform that retrieves some API requests. So I know the API request is no longer working. Okay, so let's try to log into the platform. So I have a test user there, so I can log in from here. So after login, I see some posts here as well. So, and I can create more posts. The posts can be SSM Documents, deployments, workflow. So let me put that also in the description. So, and by closing that, we have that new document sorted by publication date. So what we can do is, let's go back to the home page, and we should see that post here. So that's the post here, and the carousel, everything is working, and this is the documentation for that project, the requirements and the design, the validations, and the architecture, everything about it. So if you are new to software development, you can go through this process, and it's not bad if you employ something like this. It will make your work more interesting, neat, and you will like yourself and how you've really improved by the time you employ some of these methodology. So without spending so much on that, let me show you something also. So this is the web blog project in my private repository, and you can see it's a Laravel project. It has all this except the vendor file, which is ignored by the git ignore, and the documentation is here, and it has this, which is the Bitbucket pipeline. The pipeline, all it does is to build this project, install the npm, so the React app, it installed the React app and the Laravel projects. So that's why we have composer here and the package.json. So the front end is managed by React, so it will first install that. So let me go inside so we can look at that. So this is the section that's install the composer, and then this is the section that install the React application, and this section deploys it. So if you notice, this section is meant to deploy and run. So this part, line 83, deploys the project, zip it, it takes the zipped file and deploy it to this bucket, which is S3. So it's the zip file that is deployed there, and then this run an SSM document that takes the zipped file from this and drop it in the server and manage the release and handles the release management for us. And if you look at this pipeline section, you will notice it's failing. And why is it failing? Let's look at it. We can see the prepare section is working, so it prepares the project. The Laravel build section, it builds the Laravel project. That's also completed successfully. The node project is also working. It installs the React package, and then this last section is where it's failing, and you will notice this is the section that is failing, and it's failing because of this. That's an error occurred, invalid document, and that means the send command is trying to run a document, takes the document name, which is deploy project prod document. So that's the name of the document, but the document is not found, so which means we need to create the document. So, and the application is deployed, I have shown you, is deployed in EC2 with all these tags. So it has ALB, it has target groups, and then everything is automated because I use this Terraform scripts to deploy it. So all these scripts contains the ALB and some cloud init scripts for managing the application deployment itself, and it contains, this cloud init contains some application specific or server specific configurations that takes the project also and uninstall it and set up the database at this point. So never mind about the database, this is the SQLite database, and it installs the database and creates the migration as well. It installs the migration. So with that, we have the server projects deploying the main server, so including the ASG that handles auto scaling. So this is the ASG for that project. So it's a standard project which you can use for even production based workload. And so that is that with the project setup. And then the next major thing we need to do now is to create SSM documents, and that document is this deploy project document. I like to start from here, so I will create a repository for that, and that repository will be called I can call it really short SSM Documents, if that doesn't already exist, and I will create it here. So let me check again if I have not. I think I've created it. Yes, so this is the project, but it's empty. So let's try and clone it, then we can write the document inside. So I will clone it here. So that has finished cloning it. Then I open it up. So this is the project. This is the SSM document cloned and opened, and because it's a Terraform project, I will be creating separate. I like to create a directory for different environments, and this directory I will call it production, and in the production I will create a backend.tl file which will contain my backend configuration. So the backend configuration will be Terraform, and it will contain some backend S3 backend. So I can try as much as possible to not waste our time copy this from an existing backend file. So this is the backend information, and then I put it here. I will then modify it to be the key. I will change the key to fully show SSM Documents. And the next thing I will do is to create my provider file. So the provider file will be this. That's the S3 provider.tf file. And this provider, I can also copy that from here. So this is the provider configuration, and then we'll have another file. This is the main file .tf, and then the variables.tf. So with this, we can then try to create some variables we'll need, and then one of the variable is the environment variable, which takes the default of prod. We don't need to pass this in, but let's create its string, and then we also create a region variable for our region 1. And the next thing we need to do now is to write the document. So like I said, we'll write the document inside this section. So there's a resource in Terraform called AWS SSM Documents. Yeah, and the document name is deploy. So what is that name we are looking for here? So let's look for our blog project, and then we'll come here. So it's going to be deploy projects prod, so we can name it deploy projects. And this takes some parameter. It takes document type. So for this document type, you can put command there. So it's a command. For the name, you put the deploy projects, and you pass in the environment. So that makes it deploy project prod, because the environment is prod. And then I like to pass in some tags, so I can pass a tag here and call it a name tag, and give it project deploy. And then the next other thing I like to do is I can then specify the document formats. So I'm not passing in JSON, so this time I'm passing in a YAML file, a YAML configuration. So document file type or document formats will be YAML. So we are going to write a YAML configuration in the content section. So I'll move that content down, and then I can pass in a doc. So this will be the doc, and the doc closed by doc. So this closes it, that opens and closes. So, and I like to align it with the content. So here I can write my YAML configuration here. So what I will do is to write that YAML configuration, I will specify first and foremost the schema version. So you can check some of these things in the AWS configuration. It's quite straightforward. So you specify the schema version, and the next thing is you specify the description, and the description is to run a custom shell command to deploy a specified project, and you end it. Then this takes parameter, like I said earlier. We'll pass in a parameter to allow us be able to specify the projects we want to deploy, so that when we deploy multiple projects in an instance, we won't need to be bothered about what's going on in the server. We will only have concern with the projects we are deploying, and we won't affect other files. So the parameter we are passing in is this project name, and it is a type of string, and then the description. So one thing I need to mention is you don't put underscore in the project name like this. You don't put a space, you don't put this. It only takes number alphanumeric characters. Don't put special characters. So that's one thing I need to let you understand. It doesn't really recognize it. It will give you issues when you do that. So, and then this, we can give it name of the project to deploy. So now that we have that, we specify for this parameter section, we specify the runtime. One thing I also would recommend is you should use an ID when writing this document, because it's when you press a tab, it understands the YAML structure, and it prevents you from making mistakes. So the runtime config this time around is going to be AWS run shell. So that's AWS run shell script. And then what is going to happen is we'll specify some properties. So the properties, so you can check how this run command works. So the property will take an ID, of 0 AWS. And we have from command So the command to run will be specified here. So the first command will be to sudo su. So once we enter the instance, we do this, then we create a directory. The directory, if it exists, you don't need to create it. That's what this means. The directory is called project directory. So this is the temporary directory where we would drop the file when coming, as it's coming from S3, and then we'll specify the S3 command. So I will need to take this from, so let's take this from this server. So the script, we have this. So the command we have here is to retrieve the file from this directory, from this bucket. So, and that's what we are going to do. So I will specify that here. That's the bucket name inside prod, and then we specify the project name. That's the project we are deploying. And it's a zip file. So we put it in the project directory. That's something like this. So we'll copy this and put it in the project directory. So we'll retrieve the file and put it in the project directory. And after that, so another thing I need to say is we also need to make this directory doesn't exist. So I will remove existing application from the var HTML the projects. So we'll remove existing application from there. And the next thing is we recreate that directory. So we'll recreate the directory. And after that, we do the installation. So this is what we are going to do. I will copy it from here. So this line is what we need. So because this is SQLite application, I will need to because we've already removed the SQLite. Normally you can put your SQLite database in S3, and anytime you deploy, you retrieve the SQLite database into the instance and you continue working. Or for the purpose of illustration, we won't take the time to do that. So let's redeploy the SQLite database, create the file and redeploy it. And after that, we run the migrate script again to deploy the database structure. So what we have here will take the project from this directory again, from the project directory, extract it into the project directory, and then create the database file and go into the projects and then wait for 60 seconds for all the installation to finish, and finally run the migration. So this will definitely finish the whole task. So we can leave it in the project, or we run a cleanup that will remove the project directory. So I'll close this the way we have it now. And then the next thing we need to do is to we'll review this, and then we need to set up pipeline. So without taking much of our time, I will copy the pipeline we have here. So let's go to pipeline file and copy this. So we'll copy this pipeline. I will create a new file here and call it Bitbucket pipelines.yaml and paste it in. So, and then I will need to modify it, so it's going to the directory plan document. We don't need to run this. Then deploy document, and we don't need to run this as well. And then destroy documents. So this destroy the documents. We can remove this as well. And finally, we specify all the plan documents here. So this will be plan documents, and here we specify plan documents. That's plans the documents, and deploy documents. Let's deploy the documents and destroy documents. So if we need to make changes, so I need to also mention that one thing I've noticed with SSM Document is when you run the Terraform script again to update it, it won't update it. Let's say you change something here and want it to update, it won't update you. You have to destroy first before you redeploy it. But it doesn't matter because it's document. You can always run it as long as it's available, and when it's not available, it doesn't break anything. It will only tell you it's not available, and you can redeploy it to make it available. So we'll run it now and deploy it, and that should work. So I'm doing it in the master branch, so never mind about that. And what other thing, we just need to be sure all configurations are right, and if that is the case, let's give it a try. So I will first ensure that this document pipeline is activated. So if not, I will need to activate it. It's activated, and we check these repository variables. I will need to refresh to ensure all the variables are there. So this is telling us pipeline is not activated, so I'll activate it now. After activating, I'll go to deployment, and then I will specify this directory. So what you will notice here is that I need a directory, and that directory is specified here. So if you notice, this is execute changing directory to a directory file or folder, and that is this prod directory. So we need to specify that directory, so just in case we have a new environment, we can copy this and make it dev. We have prod, we have dev, we have staging, we have any other environment. This will allow us to be able to use the pipeline to change the directory without specifying the name, and we can reuse this definition for different steps here. So I will still take some time later in future to create a tutorial or lessons on Bitbucket pipelines and Bitbucket in general. I think that will definitely help some people that are new to it. It's very cool. I like it even more than GitHub Actions. But I like GitHub Actions too. I use it also very well. And so we can check this for some of my EKS projects. So validate document. So this runs validation, scanning for keys that are not there, and I'm excluding some file here. So the next thing is, so let me now put the directory and call it prod. I can make it visible and add it. So that will use prod for production environment. If I'm creating a new environment, I can change this deployment to an environment name here, staging or test, or add my own environment, and that will work too. And after that, I commit, I say add pipeline to document and push. So I'm pushing to master directory, which is not the best practice, but doesn't matter for our demonstration of how the SSM documents work. So now that we've deployed it, let's go to this section. So it's scanning, it's running some scan to plan it. So let's wait and see the plan. So you will notice that it has retrieved some credentials which are secrets for our AWS, and it has also retrieved the directory variable. So let's look at what we are having. So here we have an error, and the error is it should be one of these, and because we specify yam the hell there is lowercase, so I'll need to review that and change it. So that should work now. So we'll commit again and push it. So we check the plan again. The plan is running, cloning, init. So it's changed into that directory, which is prod, and then we have the plan. So, and the plan says it's going to deploy these documents into our AWS environment. So let's now give it a try and run the deployments. So we still have deploy server, so let's change that as well. So we'll change it here. So we are not deploying servers again, we are deploying the documents. We are deploying, I think that's because we copied this pipeline. We don't want to write the entire thing again. So I will commit and say update steps name to document commit. You can use the normal general git commit, git add and git push. but I'm using the IDE feature here. So this PHP Storm, a dedicated IDE for PHP, and it does more than that. It handles a lot of different file formats. I think one of the tutorials I will do will also include the PHP Storm's essential trainings, which will tell you a lot about how to use different features in PHP Storm. It's a very good IDE. I prefer it to Visual Studio because this is a dedicated IDE, unlike a general IDE like Visual Studio. So we have the plan running again. Let's wait for that to finish, and once it's done, we can execute our pipeline to deploy the document, and after that we'll go to the AWS environment to check the document. So and then we run, so deploy documents and run. So what this we do is it will make use of that plan. We've seen the plan, we've seen how it's going to deploy it. So now that has been deployed, so the next thing now is to then check the AWS environment. So this is run command. We'll come to run command, and from run command we can switch to our region, which is US East 1, and from there we can check the command history and try to click on run command and search for deploy. So that's the document. So this is our document, and let's check it. So we can see the description is there, and it has contents. So this is our content. You can see it's looking nice and ready to deploy our project. So what do we do then? We can now go to our pipeline and go to our project. So we see this is throwing up an error the other time. Let's try to run the pipeline again to see if everything will looks good. So prod deploy web blog. So and it's going to take it. So let's prepare the project.
So let's give it time to deploy the node project as well. It's currently deploying the node projects. So, and after installing the node projects, you can see all the
being executed. So it's installing the node projects, and you can see all the steps being executed. It has finished installing the node modules, and it's building it, it's compiling the project and almost ready to deploy it. So it's installing some things. So there you have it. It has finished compiling, and we have a React project, React app, ready to be deployed to production. So the next thing here is it's zipped it also and push it up. So this is now, the file is now in S3. From here you will notice, okay, the file has been zipped, and this section will deploy it to S3 and run the command. So, and that is our major purpose. Our major aim is to deploy to S3 and run the command, which will release it to production. So, and that step has been executed. So let's look at what it does. So here on this line, it's zip the file and deploy it to S3. So to confirm, let's go to S3, to this directory, to see what's going on there. So we'll come to S3. From S3 we'll have our projects, prod, weblog. So you will notice this was deployed just now. So this is the project in S3, and the next thing is it executed our document this time around, because the document exists. You know, unlike the last time, the last error we got, this one says the document does not exist, but because we've deployed the document, that document now exists on the AWS environment and it was successfully executed. So let's check it to really confirm what's going on with that document. So back to this run command in Systems Manager. What we have is we have command history, and the command history says a command was just executed at 16 GMT, that's 17 GMT, that's GMT plus 1, which is 2 minutes ago. And if you look at it, it's the prod deploy command document that was executed. So this is it, deploy project prod, that's the document that was executed. The last two we have here were the ones that we executed for our console illustration, but now that we are automating the deployment, we now have this. So let's check what that just did. So it's run it on this instance. So if you check the EC2 environment, you will notice that our instance is this. So let's go to that instance. So this is the instance. So it's the command was executed on this, and let's check to confirm if everything went well or if it's still ongoing. So we have this, you can see the command running, extracting files, and then running some other things, deploying everything into the directory, and some lines were truncated. So I like to give it time, so let's give it some time to finish deploying. I know if we check it here, it might throw up, or yeah, I think it's working, everything is working. So it has finished deploying it. So, and another thing I also notice is to confirm if it has really deployed it, you will notice that our databases files are gone. So if it's RDS, you don't need to worry about the database leaving. So, and to really confirm if what we did actually worked, let's change a test and we try the deployment again. So I'll change this information to something else. So let's go to the weblog project. So let's go to the weblog project. So this is the project, and let's try to change something in the project. So I will go to the React application, the welcome page, and this is the welcome page. and we'll navigate to that instruction. So this is a blog about photography. Let's change it to Felicia's blog about SSM Document. Yeah, that should work. And then we can change the description as well, just to be sure everything looks different. Welcome to AWS SSM Document tutorial home, and then we can commit that. So updating web blog home, I commit that, and then let's push to master for now. Later on a standard project, you should always check out to dev or to your personal branch before everyone will review it and they will deploy it to production. So let's now give that deployment a shot again. So this time I go to the master directory and then I deploy the web block again. So let's give it some time and I will forward the video at this point again. The deployment is still going, so let's give it some time to finish. And finally, we are now at the step, the long awaited step. There you have it. So there you have it. So let's go to our environment and check to confirm the command has finished running. So come to command history. So if the command is still running, you will find it here. And if the command has finished running, you will see it here. So right now the command is still running, so let's give it some time to finish. Let's check again to confirm what's going on. So the command is no more here, and then from the command history, I think this is it here, and let's check. So this is it running in the instance, and I need to mention that the good thing about SSM Document is that if you have multiple instances with the same tag, the command would be executed inside all of them at once, all together. So, and they will be listed here, and you can click on each one of them to see the start time and finish time and when it was executed, and you can check the status. And another good thing is you can send the log to S3 or send it to CloudWatch. So I've mentioned some of these things before, so and this is it. So we can give it some time to finish executing, because I know it will take time to deploy all the Node.js directories, and it will also take some time to deploy all the vendor directory in Laravel project. So, and this project has both. It has the React app and the Laravel application. It has both the React and the Laravel application all together. I think for me, I like to separate them, but I did put them together because I need to present this as a one single project. And I don't know how to use any other front end except for React, and because it makes my life easier anyway. And so let's check our website and refresh. So what do we have? Do we have everything working? So, and that's great. Isn't this great? So we have the updates, all the updates here and deployed. And let's explore the site. Let's try to even sign in if that works. And here we have, it's working. So the database set up, and we can create a post, and the post can be something about introducing systems manager, and we can get some description about system manager here. And then was that okay? We can copy something from here and put it on the description and save. And we can, yeah, we have some error, so let's not bother about that. That can be fixed. So general error 8 attempts to write a read-only database. So that's a that's an issue with permissions, which we can, let me see how we can fix that. You know, when we were writing that document, we did not specify the permission that we have. So this is the document. You know, when we were writing it, we did not specify to update the permission here. So we created this file, but we didn't update the permission. So what we can do now is to see the permission that was executed in the file. So I will do this, try to do this, and we can come to this section and then come to this and check the script that handles that permission. So this is it. So what we can do here is to execute this command, and that will fix the permission issue. So let's try to do that. So we can also execute this command. So to execute it, now we are putting our SSM documents to use. So what I will do is I'll come to run command and then run SSH, run a shell command, specify the command, and specify this permission. Next, we'll specify this second permission, which we allow reading and writing by the user, which is Apache, and by the root. So we put that here as well, and then this should fix any permission issue we are having. So, and by resource group, I will specify the resource group. In the last tutorial we used this resource group, that's the blog, and then I can remove this and I will execute that. So that's running. Let's give it some time. And refresh. Done. So that's a success, and if everything works fine, we should be able to create a document now. So I can copy the title again, put the title here and the description. And we try to save again, and that works. So you can see how easy it looks to quickly, especially when you know what's wrong. You can see how easy it is to fix an issue using SSM Document, and it's a good thing that we faced this error, and you can see how we were able to fix it right from the SSM Documents console. And from this lesson, what we can do is we can update the document to consider those permission issues. And it's important to also note that you can chain your commands here so that they are all executed sequentially without any other issues again. So those are the ways you can use or integrate SSM Documents with your process. And as a DevOps engineer, I recommend you get yourself acquainted with these tools, with some of these tools on AWS, because it will definitely help you. It will simplify your process. It will make life easier for you. It will help you to do a lot of things, and it will also make you a professional and in the field, which is something we are all aiming for. And this may look more advanced, and that is because it was made for exclusively for cloud engineers or DevOps engineers who are on AWS. And I'm talking about this tool because I love it so much, and since I've been using it, it has really helped me a lot. And whenever I see engineers still bothering about how to move SSH keys around or trying to SSH into their instance from their environment, it makes me feel maybe they are not really stretching themselves to know what is really in town about some of these tools. So I want you to explore some of these features on AWS, and in the coming video I'll be sharing with you how to use Session Manager, which is another interesting node management tool on AWS. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up, and we'll see you in the next video. Thank you.